Warning, the following opinions are that of my own and not of the larger whole of any fandom. Also, while major adult content will never be shown and or allowed, some adult language may be used at any time. Viewer discretion is advised. Hey everyone, welcome to Zeltrax's Interviews, which of course it's me, and I got another special guest this time. Say hello, man.
Hello, my name's Lee Tockar, and I'm the special guest star today.
Yeah, bit of a funny thing with this one. It's like I was actually following Lee Tockar for quite a long while, and then literally Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, I wake up, look at my Twitter, and he's following me on Twitter. Wait, what?
Yeah, that's true.
I just
lately
I just randomly DM him saying, "Hey, would you be okay for doing an interview?" And you said like, "Sure."
I did. Well, that's lately I've been doing a lot of these little podcast interviews and things like that just to help new, because I can't help that I've done what I've done, but people seem to be interested in it for some reason. And so there's a lot of these young vloggers and podcasters like your fine self, sir. And it sort of behooves me to help them to maybe boost their numbers or their memberships or their subscribers or whatever like that, because the world and cartoons has given me so much. So this year I decided I'm just going to start giving a little back. So there you go. And so here I am. So hi.
Yeah. So yeah, if you guys do not know, for many fans of different cartoons, he voiced a couple of different characters, but for one particular instance, and especially for right now, is the 25th anniversary for Beast Wars.
That's
this
right.
year. And of course,
Ravage. Yeah, I played Covert Agent Ravage.
Lee Tockar voiced Beast Wars Ravage.
Yes, I did. Yeah. And you sent me a little clip of it, which I didn't. I had some clips, and I sent you one of the ones that I had. Some are mixed well, and some are mixed not so well. I sent you one that was mixed really well, and yeah, it was fun to revisit that again. I didn't get in on the original auditions. I was out of town, but my friend Ace Fipke was casting at the time, and he was part of Beast Wars, and he invited me and he said, "There's another character. Can you do a Russian accent?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And well, it was actually decided because he was covert agent. So I just thought Cold War, Covert Agent Ravage. The last Decepticon has to be Russian, so I made him Russian, and then I made him deeper like this, and so I gave him this Black Panther sort of Decepticons forever kind of thing, and then he became iconic. So there you go.
Yeah, no joke, because Chris McFeely, who does a lot of really good Transformers content, like the Transformers Basics episodes, he actually did a lot of video. He actually did a bunch of videos, including one on G1 Ravage, and he even talked about Beast Wars Ravage and how Beast Wars Ravage was basically a continuation of the original Ravage, and how your portrayal of Ravage in that episode was basically like almost the default when it comes to Ravage.
Yeah, it became sort of the canon voice for it, and I was very happy for it. But I saw some of the other with the original, and very, very good as well. But I think this one is the sort of the go-to voice for him. And they did put the filter on it. And a lot of the characters that I was doing back then, because my acting was really good, but my voice wasn't deep enough for some of them. So they, like in Bionicle, we'll talk about later. They pitched my voice down as well. But everything was very much like this. I can already do a kind of a deep pitchy sound with my voice. So. But I was so much younger back then and so innocent before the world beat me down. But anyway, yes, I was very happy to do Covert Agent Ravage. And at the time, I wasn't really watching a lot of the cartoons that I do. So so I didn't realize the fan base that Ravage had. I was just like, oh, this is another job. For me, it was like going... I was looking at back in the day, I really wanted to get into voiceovers because I just did it, and I really just wanted to to show anybody, all of the stuff that I could do because I had such a range. But it's so hard to get anybody to look at you and take you seriously when you're just some nobody yet, and before you're discovered. So I wasn't really paying attention to the shows themselves so much as just impressing the directors and the casting directors that I could do almost any accent of the world. And and he's just like, pick me, and then I started watching the cartoons. I'm like, holy cow, this is a cool looking show. Beast Wars especially, because the animation was so cool and the CGI was excellent, and it's just like, this is in the initial like in the early days of CGI cartoons. Now after I was in Reboot, and that was the first CGI cartoon, of course. And then to be in Beast Wars, and then I saw just how far it had come, and I'm like, holy cow, this is amazing. So it was really cool, and I was like, I would watch this show, and so I started watching the show because someone said, "Oh man, your Ravage looks really cool," and I was like, "Oh, does it? I don't know. I've never seen the show." And then I started following it after that, and then I went all the way back, and I started watching all of it, and I'm like, wow, and it's an amazing show. So I was very happy to become that iconic Ravage voice.
Yeah. Too bad toys of your character are kind of expensive on the aftermarket.
Yeah, I've had a couple sent to me, and some from friends of mine in Japan and stuff like that. And I have this really cool one that looks like a disc. And
Oh yeah, I believe that's the War for Cybertron version from the video games.
that's right. Yeah, and it took me forever to pull it apart and put it back together and to make it look like to make it look like a little Ravage. But I have a couple, and I know that I shouldn't have, but they're mine, so I don't really care. But when I collect toys, I collect comic books and toys and stuff like that, like action figures,
Oh, nice.
and it's a rule, never take it out of the package. But I just couldn't help it because it was so cool. I'm like, it looks like a coin, but I know it turns into something. And so I had to tear it open. It was just the kid inside me. I was like, screw it, I don't care. I figured
Nice.
if I had to resell it, I'll just sign it and say this is me, and then maybe it might make some money on the market. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much, and I'm not letting you interview.
You are fine. This is probably going to be one of my best interviews ever.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah. Oh
Well,
man.
you ask away any questions you want, Jesse, and I'm happy to answer them, man. I checked you out online, and you're like you fit right into the pocket for the people I'm trying to help. Like, just young, ambitious, new followers, new following, and stuff like that. So I'll help promote you, and I'll help I'll help hopefully boost your ratings or numbers or subscribers, and and anything I can do.
That would be nice, and it's kind of a compliment that you say that I'm a bit of a young guy. I turned 30 last year.
Okay, I just turned 52 last week and a bit ago, so 30 to me is like a babe in the
Happy
woods.
belated birthday, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm an Aquarian boy, but yeah, I look 40, but I'm still 52. But I moisturize. I tell all my friends my age, I'm like, you got to moisturize that stuff, man, because you're just gonna look like a catcher's mitt. So you just all wrinkled. Like, where did you suntanning in Florida for a year, or what the hell happened to you? So yeah, I saw pictures of you online and stuff. Yeah, no, you look young, but still 30 might be old for you, and it is for most of my fans, but not to me. You're just a pup. You're just a wee thing, aren't you? Bless your heart. Right. Bless your heart and knickers. So anyway, Jesse, why don't you get on to asking some questions, and I'll see what I can do about. And I deliberately, for all those listening, I deliberately said, don't tell me what the questions are beforehand. I like winging it, and apparently you do too. But apparently we have some questions coming in from the Twitter sphere or something like that too.
Yeah, we got a couple from Twitter, a couple from Discord, and of course a couple from myself, of course.
Of course. Well, where would you like to start, Jesse?
All right. Well, first icebreaker, we got quite a few icebreakers because I only have 15 questions written down here, so I figured I'd answer some off the cuff questions after the icebreaker to maximize the time.
Sure.
So one question I have here for the icebreaker: who was your favorite cartoon supervillain?
My favorite cartoon supervillain. Oh, that's such an open question. Like I played a lot of really great villains in my time, but I can't say me because that would seem like I'm just a
Yeah,
big.
that'd be cheating.
That'd be well, no, it just sounds like egomaniacal. Um, let's see, the greatest evil. Well, I loved the Joker. I really loved the Joker. But he's not evil. He's ambivalent to society. He's like an anarchist. He doesn't care one way or the other, but he does sort of tend to seem evil on the outside. But I like the Joker just in general, and in terms of like that anarchist, that evil, anything can happen. But I have live action on movies and stuff. I have what I think is really good evil. But for cartoons, there's just so many good cartoons that have so many great evil characters in them. I'm gonna go with the Joker for if you want to call it evil, but I really like. There's just so many. There's so many. I don't know. I don't know. You've stumped me on the first question. Holy cow! Wow. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, because I have
that's
as a comic book collector, I am a huge fan of so many brands, and I have a really hard time, you know. Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of the comics, I only recently started collecting comic books and actually started reading them. Thanks to the Boom Studios Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comics because those comics are really good. Basically,
Yeah.
they basically take the concept and campiness of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and set it in a modern day. Like literally, like the first major issue, like issue 0, especially issue 0, takes place like a week after Green with Evil.
Wow. I never collected the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers comics.
Oh,
I never
you
did. I was the first comics that I ever got were Moon Knight #1, and I still have it. Moon Knight #1, and Conan the Barbarian, the original. And I just finished selling my. I've just finished like completing my set. I was going to all these conventions and I would go to comic book fairs and I was finding I'd carry around in my wallet like a proper nerd. I'd carry around the books that I had left to scratch off my list. And when I was down to like the last 3, I found them at a comic book convention here in Vancouver. Um, at uh, at a place called Heritage Hall. It's this huge, looks like a church, but it's rented out. And whenever they have their comic book fair there, I go there, and I found the 3, and I'm like, oh no, what do I do now? Oh no! So it's like I was like, oh, I was so happy, and then I was so sad. I was like, oh, well, I've got that now, and so I sold them. Sold them all. Now I'm just looking for my next stuff, my next big genre. But I did
oh
make sure, and I kept a duplicate of the #1. I'm trying to collect all the #1s that I can. I have the first appearance of Wolverine, the first appearance of I have Peter Parker Spectacular. I had a Peter Parker Spectacular King Size Annual 1979, and it was with Doc Octopus, and I had a whole box when I was a kid. My friend, his parents had a garage sale. This is my best friend Daryl, who I've known him since I was 4. His parents had a yard sale, and he took the wrong box. He took the box not of the duplicates I wanted to sell, but all my originals. Oh, I was so upset. And we went to the comic book collector in Kelowna, and we're like, dude, you know what you did? We got to get those comics back. And he's like, sorry, that's a final sale. I'm like, okay, you're a final D-bag. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, so now I'm just collecting first editions of everything, if I can. I'm taking all the money I make from doing cartoon voiceovers, and I'm putting them back into my investment in comic books, like a true nerd would.
Yeah, currently with me with my commissions of painting up toys and stuff, that's what I do. I pull the money into from doing commissions and pouring it into my collecting because there's still a couple of things in my collection that I still want to get. And
Okay,
it's been
what's
really
your number
crazy
one?
because
What's your number one that you want, that you're looking for?
let's see here. Uh,
I could stump you now because you stumped me on one. You stumped me on the first question with who's my favorite supervillain.
yeah. Damn, there's a lot of stuff that I want to get for the collection.
You get Spawn?
Uh, I I don't have any Spawn. I don't have any Spawn figures, but I do have a couple of comics.
Yeah, the Spawn figures are really good because his cape is so crazy. Well,
Yeah,
whatever you call it. It's
I'm
not really a
tempted to
cape, it's an
get
exo skin.
I'm tempted to get a figure of Spawn from Mortal Kombat 11 because oh my god, Spawn from Mortal Kombat 11.
Nah, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's your next question? What's your next question, Jesse?
All right. Well, here's about three of them from my friend GBakes93 on Twitter, and we kind of sort of answered the first one a little bit ago. His
Okay.
first question was, do you own toys of the characters you have voiced?
Yes, I do. Yes, I have. Yep. Yeah, I just got I just got some more characters from The Deep, and I play in The Deep. It's a cartoon. It used to be Nerdcore, now it's Wild Brain are putting it together because Wild Brain was DHX, and DHX bought up Nerdcore, and so I have some Dragon Booster stuff from Nerdcore. I have some T-shirts from Nerdcore. I have Johnny Test, some bling bling things. I have a whole bunch of Ravage. I found a Dr. Frog from League of Super Evil. I just got Kratoxy Rhina. I play a couple characters in Dinosaur Train. I've got a bunch of plushies from Barbie, from Bibble that I play in that. And yeah, I've got a couple really cool ones.
Nice.
Looking for the Vile, though. I don't have Vile. I'd like to get an action figure of Vile. He's
Yeah,
hard
yeah, I do remember now. Tamashii Nations, which is a figure line in Japan owned by Bandai Japan, they actually did a D Arts, which is kind of like an action figure line which has like really nice action figures and like real decent human like articulation for a lot of
Cool.
characters. They do plenty of action figures for the Kamen Rider franchise. Like Kamen Rider is like their bread and butter.
Yeah.
A couple of times they've actually done figures for video game characters, like of course Mega Man Zero, Mega Man X, and of course Vile from Mega Man X.
That is what I would want to get a hold of somehow. That would be great.
Yeah,
Love to add that to
as
my
soon as I find
collection.
a decently priced figure arts Vile, I'll let you know.
Please do, please do, and add that to my little wall of nerddom.
Yeah, I actually like the original call that we did to set all this up was like I even mentioned that a lot of people joked especially during the original times when Vile first showed up in the video games and of course the Ruby-Spears Megaman cartoon episode Mega X that
Yep,
Vile pretty much acted like Boba Fett.
kind of, and he even looks a little bit like him.
Yeah, it even got to the point where in friggin' Mega Man X8, Boba Fett was colored green to even lay into the connection. It's like you just want to be called Boba Fett now, do you?
Well, see, I don't know how many times Boba Fett spoke before the Vile cartoons, but he didn't. It wasn't until later in the other sequels, the Star Wars franchise, where Boba Fett actually saw the backstory of how he was cloned, and all of the other
Yeah.
clones were cloned from him. And but I never really, I didn't see the original design for Vile when I did him, so I didn't realize that it was looked so much like him, and the voice was just, not a bad plan for a human. He had this sort of very natural way of just talking. He wants to destroy us. You know, he was
Oh
very
man.
casual. He was very casually cool about being like a vile character. He never really acted very vile, considering his name was Vile. I thought that he should have
Yeah.
been way vile for the name Vile.
Ah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I just saw something. Somebody's putting out MODOK. I did the voice for MODOK in the Iron Man cartoon, and
Oh
somebody's
yeah,
putting
Iron
out,
Man Armored Adventures. I remember that now.
yeah, MODOK. You know, and it was designation Iron Man, expendable, and but that now there's a whole new thing coming out with MODOK now. I just saw
Yeah,
on
there's a
Instagram.
MODOK cartoon coming out on Hulu that's kind of in the same sort of vein as Robot Chicken.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it looks really good, but I don't know why they didn't ask me to come on for that because I would have been funny on that. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with my MODOK? I was MODOK. And I do collect comic books that have my characters in them. So I have the League of Super Evil comic books. I have the MODOK wherever MODOK shows up in
Hmm.
uh in any comic. I always have him in the Iron Man books, comics and all that stuff. So yeah. Anyway, sorry. I keep talking too much.
Oh,
I'll
you
let
are
you ask.
fine. This is gonna
Let
be
you ask
fun to
a
edit.
question. Okay, that's why we have you to edit. Exactly. All right.
But
So, what do you want to ask me next, Jesse?
GPix GPix93 had a second question. What was it like to voice Ravage on Beast Wars, which we kind of already talked about
Well,
already?
it was amazing. I loved it. And so, are you going to be using? Are we using a lookalike like one of the Ravages for this interview that my voice is going to
Yeah.
be seemingly
The
coming out
thing
of?
the thing about it is that I'm mentioning this in an interview now because I like to share the creative process sometimes with my videos and my vlogs. That with the Mike Pollock interview that I did, I downloaded an MMD model from SAB64. I think that was the name. If not, I will just plaster the name on the screen because I'm a bit of a ding dong like that. So I was trying to look for a model of Ravage to use online, and there wasn't one really ready to download on DeviantArt. So I decided, okay, head on the models resource, and I found one, and it was Ravage from Transformers Devastation, which is a fantastic video game.
Yeah.
Still sad that Activision delisted the thing from online stores, which means you couldn't get the DLC.
So that model is the one that is surrounding my voice coming out of that model right now.
Pretty much.
Wow, there you go. Look at me. I'm a little different.
Yeah, I also personally actually rigged up the model myself. It took a while to get it prepared, but I liked working on it.
I love it. Good. Shows stick-to-itiveness. And you're the first person in years that I've heard refer to themselves as a ding dong. That's all. It's like that's
I
one
mean,
of my.
it's either
It's a
that or
hilarious
an
grade.
idiot, or a couple of other words.
A ding dong's funny. I wouldn't talk about yourself like that, but I mean, it's a funny word in general. It's like the word dink. It's like things that see that grade tours say. It's like you're such a dink, but it's kind of a funny word. I don't care. I don't care. It's like it's childish and funny. Ding dong too, very funny. Anyway, next question.
Right, right. Last one from GBX93. What is your dream role to do?
Oh boy, um, that is that is a good question. Uh, well, I don't really know. I have so many. Again, I have so many fandoms that I love. I mean, I have voices that I do pretty well, but I basically just really want to do the. I want to be the voice of the next cartoon that pays me. You know? Like I love like I would have loved to have been Bugs Bunny. I would have loved to have been Kermit the Frog and the Muppets, and but that's because those were the first two voices that I learned when I was a kid.
Mm.
So you know, I would have loved to have done those, but other than that, no. I don't know. I would have liked to have been Conan. That would have been cool because I was a big fan. Um,
Mm.
I don't know. I really don't know. I'm happy with the cartoons that I have done, and apparently everybody thought that I was good enough to give me the audition for it, to give me the role that I auditioned for, and I'm happy with those ones. Like Dr. Frog in League of Super Evil, Pronto the Magnificent in Slugterra. These are all like funny. I always end up playing kind of comic characters, like George of the Jungle.
Mhm.
I like a sense of comedy with my stuff. Very rare is the occasion. Like when I first started out, I was doing a lot of evil stuff, like Bionicle.
Mhm.
I was doing Makuta in that, which they pitched me down for as well.
Hmm.
But anyway, I really don't know. Uh, I don't really have a favorite that I would like to be, but that's a really good question. I wish I had a better answer for
Oh, you're fine.
it. Bless.
All right.
All right, next question.
We got we got one from one of my friends, Shining Meta 12. I know him as Hiro, which Hiro is just spelled with an I instead of an E.
Right,
And
yeah.
he has just one question. What was the hardest role you've done so far?
Um, the hardest role that I ever did was the first role in a prelay cartoon that I ever did for a
Hmm.
director named Wally Burr. And the cartoon was Conan the Destroyer. And I had one character. It was a warrior who was blinded by a dragon and
Hmm.
with his fire in his face. And the one line I had that really stuck out, and there was a full cast around me, and they all knew that I have a visual impairment. I can't see very well. So I had to have my scripts blown up really big, and I was really nervous about looking like I have a disability. This was like something I hated. I don't like, I wanted people to think I was talented, my ability. Look at my ability, not my disability. And I
Hmm.
was really, really, and I still am very adamant about that. I don't want to know about people's disability first. I want to know about what their abilities are. Like, what are they good at? What do they love? What drives them? What's their passion? And the line was, I'm blind. I had to scream, I'm blind. And so I'm standing there in a group of all these new people, and I knew some of them more than others, but everybody there knew that I had a visual problem. And so Wally Burr wasn't even in the session as the director. He was on a boat someplace in the Mediterranean with his cabin boy. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he kept making me do it over. And Wally Burr, it's called the crescendo, where everything goes up at the end, and he called the crescendo, the Wally crescendo, and I had to say, I'm blind, like over and over, and I did it like 10 times, like, okay, a little bit more like this, and he was like really line feeding me, and everybody started to slowly back out of the room and giving me a look like, I'm so sorry. And then my buddy Doug Parker, who was also a director in town, uh, he was hanging out with me quite a bit at that point, and he was standing next to me, and he leaned into the microphone after I did it like 18 times, and had the flop sweat. I was sweating. I was so nervous. Like, this is my living hell. It's like, trial by stone, trial by stone. It's like I felt like a Skeksis, and I had to say it over. And Doug just leaned in and said, Wally, Lee actually is legally blind. And Wally Burr on the phone patch said, oh, well, that last one was pretty good. I'm like, oh my God,
Wow.
is this what it's gonna be like for the whole effing career? Like, and it was my very first, like, cutting my teeth. I was in session in a full cast, and I was so nervous about looking blind, and my one line was, I'm blind, screamed over and over and over again. Like, talk about a living nightmare. So after that, I'm like, okay, everything else is gravy at this point. If I can make it through that, I got this. So
Wow.
yeah.
That guy sounds like freaking Stanley Kubrick. It's like
Oh, he was very,
wasn't it
very
one time
fussy.
wasn't it one time where Stanley Kubrick asked someone to do a take like 127 times?
Oh, that sounds like him, and it also sounds like Wally Burr. But anyway, that is a very I don't tell that story very often, so I think that's one of the first times I've ever told anybody's ever asked me, and I've ever ever told that story. So you heard it first here. All
Well,
right, but keep them coming, buddy. Keep them coming.
okay, well, I actually got my first question here, and it's actually a bit of a neat one because I actually did quite a bit of research for this interview, and this one's gonna be interesting to say the least.
Okay.
Because I might actually cut this part of the interview out and send it to my friends over at HeroClub.com because they love a lot of the behind the scenes information with a lot of shows and stuff.
Okay.
But here's one for the Ocean Group dub for Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Yes, for Frieza. I played Frieza in that.
Yeah, you actually
He
did
hurt
do the
my
voice
throat.
for Frieza. And
He
no joke, my friends have actually been trying to look for a lot of videos regarding the Ocean Group dub of DBZ Kai. Nobody's been able to find videos of a lot of the voice actors for the show, including your Frieza. So
no.
if you remember how to do Frieza, can you
Of course
try
I
to do
can.
it?
That guy. Do you know how many times I came out of session tasting blood in my mouth from my throat because Frieza was constantly yelling and evolving and changing, and he would always start off with like taunting. He's like, Super Saiyan, I will destroy you. And then he would grow and he would change or he would be destroyed and he would come back as like a new incarnation and get bigger. And I'm like, and when I first started, I thought, oh, I'm going to start him really big and like screamy. And I wish I wouldn't have done that because I started really big and screaming. They're like, okay, now he's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger for about 12 times. And I'm like, what? So I was like, but I already taste blood. so so he
Man,
just got bigger and
now I
meaner and
remember.
angrier.
Now I remember a thing from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, which I highly recommend. That shit is freaking hilarious. Especially a bit where they did the whole Namek and Frieza saga stuff, and I haven't watched DBZ Abridged fully myself. I need to binge it at some point because I got nothing else to do. I remember a video from a friend of mine where it had a clip of Frieza going to Piccolo. So, Namekian, what do you think of my third form? And Piccolo responds, I think Ridley Scott's going to sue somebody. What are you talking about? And then there's an edit of Frieza opening his mouth, and then a mini version of his head starts popping out because third form Frieza looks like a xenomorph.
Hilarious. Nice alien reference.
Yeah.
Hilarious. That's so
Man.
funny. Yeah, and but Frieza was a very cool character, and I have not been able to find a lot of stuff. So if anybody can find any Frieza clips out there in this big, wide, crazy, wacky world that we're in, I would love to get some of that from my reel because I can't find hardly any of Frieza. And considering that I tore my larynx to shreds over that character, I would like to have something to show for it at the end.
Yeah, I even found a video that showed every voice actor for Frieza, including the Japanese one. And that was like right after I looked at the Lost Media Wiki that showed you as the voice of Frieza. I was like, no Lee Tockar? Seriously?
Yeah. There's nothing for me. I can't find it. I don't know why, but
yeah, I don't know why, but I think it's either the Ocean Group or Funimation just wants to bury that dub. I don't know why.
I don't know why either because it was a really good cast, but I know that they had a lot of problems with releasing information. The Ocean Group did. It was like I couldn't talk about it for so long. When I found out that I got the Frieza character, they said, okay, well, you signed the non-disclosure agreement. You're not allowed to talk about this until we say so. And I waited like 2 years before I was allowed to even tell anybody. And I kept phoning like once every 6 months going, can I tell people yet? Can I tell people yet? Even when it was on the air. And they said, well, we just want to hold off for a little bit because the cast was great. Everybody was great. And a lot of the original cast, like, Brian Drummond was in it. There's so many, like Kirby Morrow, who's sadly passed on now. He was in it. Like, all these characters. all these, yeah, and all these characters that I had been like my hashtag my cartoon family, and we migrate from cartoon to cartoon together, and I just couldn't see. It was some legal issue that they had at Ocean, and I'm not sure what it was, but I love all the people at Ocean. I got along great with all the directors there, and it was such a blast. It was so painful to do Frieza because it hurt my throat. But yeah, if anybody could find any, I would love it. I would love to have a copy of that.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted? Question mark.
Another thing, I normally don't ask voice actors to do character voices in these interviews.
I don't mind.
Because it's not really my place to ask them for that. Because I didn't ask Mike Pollock to do Eggman in the interview. It's like, because he was just an awesome, cool dude. And here this guy is just belting off voices like every 5 seconds.
Oh, that's fine, buddy. That's what I'm here for.
Oh,
you know,
man.
I mean, that's what people know me as, is the guy that does the voices. So what's the point of having an interview? Well, I'm already in the body of Ravage. But so the existential question is Ravage actually doing the impersonations, or is my natural speaking voice actually Ravage's actual speaking voice doing other cartoon characters coming out of a Ravage body here in the ether web? Ooh. How very existential.
And now I just have the urge to put up the clip of Austin Powers from The Spy Who Shagged Me going, "Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed," but I don't want to get copyright claimed.
All right. Well, anyway, but no, I'm happy to do the voices. That's what people seem to like, and that's what I like to do. I like to make people laugh and happy, and especially in these crazy times. So keep asking, keep firing away, Jesse. You're doing great so far. This has been part 1 with Lee Tockar. Tune in next time where he'll try to shut up more, so you don't have to cut the interview in half.